Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel, Hawthorn Grove, where I speak about things that I get up to in the crafting world, knitting, crochet, spinning, eco-printing and natural dyeing. Today, look, it'll be a little bit all over the place. I haven't been around much recently. Christmas got really busy. I've had a lot of things on the go with the school holidays, so thought I'd better pop in today and talk to you a little bit about what I've been up to. First up, finished projects. Now, I started this poncho early January. I have had it finished for quite some time. I just haven't caught up with my son to give it to him. And this is my spaghetti western style Clint Eastwood poncho. I got a free pattern on the internet, which I'll try and link below because I'm not sure where I've put it at the moment. Now, this poncho has been a labour of love. I bought this fleece from a lady at the Penguin Market whose husband was shearing sheep. I don't know what kind of wool it was, but it was this mottled brown, and then it had a patch of grey-white. So I spun that separately for the colour work. Now, I'm not a confident colour worker, so our lines are a little bit all over the place, but I'm sure my son will love it, and if I ever catch up with him, I'll give it to him. Otherwise, I might keep it myself. I love this thing. So, as I said, I bought the fleece from a lady whose husband was a shearer. I brought it home, picked through it, picked out all the icky vegetation, etc. Washed it, spun it, and then it sat there for a little while. My son wanted a poncho from another fleece I had previously that I hadn't got around to spinning. And when I did start, it was very, very coarse. And that's just here behind me. It's a really coarse wool. And because I already had this knit up and it's, it's not soft, but it's soft enough. It's slightly rustic. I thought, no, this has taken too long. I will knit him the poncho out of this. So I began the tedious task of knitting this huge big thing. Crazily enough, I knit it in two big squares, so they're this wide. Can't even fit them all on the screen. On straight needles. What was I thinking? But I managed. And then I seamed up the top, leaving a little opening for his head. I blocked it as well as I could because it's enormous. How do you block something this big? Anyway, there it is. Now my other son wants one. And I can tell you now, I wouldn't mind one myself. It's like a huge big blanket and it's beautiful. So, not only is it a poncho, it's a hand-picked, hand-washed, hand-carded, hand-spun, hand-knit poncho. Made with all of my love. And if this darn boy doesn't come and collect it soon, I'll be very annoyed. So there it is. I do have a couple of photos of me wearing it, which I will insert somewhere. I'm not sure how to insert photos into the video, but if I can't get them in there, I'll pop them up at the end. So there's that, the Clint Eastwood poncho. Oh, and I did this as part of a knit along with the lovely girl from the We Grow Wild podcast. She was doing a movie knit along, movie knits. And I'll pop her details down below as well. She's a lovely girl in Italy, and been watching her for quite a while now. So, first finished object, and the biggest. Now, I don't have any actual more finished knitting objects. Oh, but I will show you. Here's the wool. So I have 4 skeins left. I'm not sure what I will do with it. I don't think it's enough for another poncho, but I will use it for something else. So it's lovely, 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 lovely. Sorry, too many lovelies. Lovely fleece. Here I go again. What else I've been working on? All right. Well, this isn't exactly a finished object because I bought 500 grams of this fibre, and I've only spun one bobbin's worth. But this is the Ashford Merino Silk Blend. It's really lovely and soft, really smooth. Has a slight halo, and this is 12 wraps per inch, which I'm not sure what that is. Hang on. I don't know if it's on this one. No. My little yarn guide only goes from DK to 4-ply. There's sort of nothing in between. I'm going to assume this is a sport. But anyway, it's got all these lovely orange and white and yellow and blood orange specks through it. There it is, nice and close. So I do have quite a bit to go, but there's my first finished skein. Oh, look out, we've got things falling. That's what crafters do. We have too much stuff. Now, you probably saw the video I posted not too long ago about our spinning group having a dyeing day. So we all met at a lady's house in Tasmania, and we took along all our bits and bobs, our pots, our pans, our dyes, our everything. I did some eco printing. Now I don't have anything to show you here because that's all over at my market stall at Penguin. So I did some eco printing first, and then I did some acid dye. Oh, there's a little bit of something glittery in here. So this is one of the pieces that I dyed. This is some of the Bendigo Ready Spin with the linen, so it's woolen linen. And I dyed this with some gay wool acid dyes. I've got some nice muted blue greys, orangey yellow, and some shades of green. So that came up quite nicely. I'm not sure if I'll do the rest. I had a kilo of this, but I'm a bit worried that I won't get the same effect right through. So you can see some of the lovely linen flecks through it. Anyway, that came up quite nicely. Also, on that day, oh, sorry about the squeaky chair. Happens every time. If I had a table out here, I wouldn't have the problem, but I don't. Also on that day, a couple of other ladies were dyeing some yarn, and got to say, they go a little bit overboard with the amount of dye, and it wouldn't clear at all. So I had a couple of spare skeins I hadn't done anything with, and I threw I threw them both into a pot of blue that a lady had, and you can still see some of the blue in that clarity coloured one. So these dyed up quite a nice steel blue, I'd say. And then a couple of other ladies had a ton of leftover dye, so I threw one in the green and one in the clarity wine colour, and that's what we ended up with. They're not showing up quite as bright as they are in person, but you get the idea. So I don't like wasting even, a few scoops of dye. Why not use the lot? So I dyed those up. they're two separate 50-gram skeins, but I'm sure I'll find something to do with those eventually. My daughter was also doing some dyeing, and she firstly dyed up these ones in a number of colours. So there's purples and blues and pinks all mixed together. So she did those ones. Then I said to her, maybe try, not so many colours together because they can go a little bit muddy. So she changed and just threw in some blues and a purple. She got these, and these are very pretty, really, really pretty. Really pretty shades of blue. And they have tiny little specks of purple and pink. So those are really nice. I'm not sure what she wants done with those, but there's 4 50-gram skeins of those. So that was our dyeing day. She also did some tie-dye, which I forgot to bring over here, and it's way over there hanging up. And that's probably it for our finished objects. It was a lovely day. It was very, very, very hot. I looked like a beetroot by the end of the day. There wasn't much shade. I was wearing a hat, but the heat really, really doesn't agree with me. And as you may know, I'm in Australia, so it's summer here at the moment. Today's quite nice. It's I'm looking out my window. A little bit grey, but the sun's out. It's not raining. It's not windy. This is my kind of day. So I am managing to sit here in a t-shirt, even though my house is quite cold most of the time. So going on from there, I was watching Jaala on Finished Knitting Stories, and she was knitting on something called the Saturday Shrug. And she was using just some leftover bits and pieces she has. And I've got a few leftovers from when I did the night shift, which you can just see over there in the distance. Oh, there. It's funny pointing when you're mirrored. So I threw a few of those colours together and I had a single skein of hot pink. I'm not sure if the colours are going to show up brilliantly or not, but this is sort of a steel blue, and a hot pink, bright yellow and bright blue. So you're meant to do it in the round, but I didn't have a circular needle in the right size, so I just cast on straight, and I'll seam up the sides. So it's kind of just a shrug that sits, and then the collar rolls over, and it's all done in 1x1 rib. So I did get quite excited and did quite a lot to begin with, and then the 1x1 rib got a little bit monotonous. But I'm slowly poking away at it. It doesn't have to be, probably about double this size, so it's just a nice warm wraparound shrug, more like a poncho than a shrug. It doesn't have sleeves. Not my normal colour scheme, as you've probably realised. I'm more of a muted autumn tone, brown, beige, green, mustard. But hey, what the heck? We only live once, and I'm sure if I wore this, I'd get a few strange looks because they wouldn't be used to seeing me in this colour. I'm knitting this on 8mm needles. And Jaala mentioned in her podcast she slowly lowered, went smaller needles so that the top part around the neck got a little bit smaller and it rolled over nicely instead of just being this big fluff. So that's where I am on that. It's a free pattern. Apparently it's been really, really popular. So I will get that done pretty soon, I hope. Although, so many new cast-ons in the last few days, people. So many cast-ons. Actually, finish objects. I forgot about these. How silly of me. So my spinning group were donated a couple of fleece. One was from Larry the lawnmower, and another one was from an alpaca. Now, we were given a challenge. Tish took it up home, carded it up into pin roving on her small spinning machines. She's got like the spinning machines, the picker and the carder and all of that in her shed. So and then she brought us a couple of balls, so 200 grams in total. And we were given the challenge to take it home, spin it up, and make something with it. And we have to have this done because my daughter was there as well. It was school holidays. We need to have this done and bring it back by the Easter holidays. So, of course, I got very excited. I spun it up already. That's all I have left. Just those two little bits. I actually got 225 meters of quite a chunky spin, and this is what I knit with them. Firstly, I knit the chunky hat on straight needles Royal Diamonds. So that's a free pattern. It was on, I found it on Ravelry. So there's another little tiny bit. So it was just a hat knit flat and then seamed up. So there it is. Now I'm going to mess my hair up incredibly when I take this off. So that's the hat. I loved how the colour came out. It was a creamy white fleece, and then she mixed it with a coloured alpaca. So I'd never knit this pattern before, this Royal Diamonds, but I quite like it. So that only took one 100 gram ball, and it is quite big. I think I need to pop it in some hot water and try and shrink it down just a little bit. I really like how the brim, the top looks. It looks really nice. So that was the first bit. And then I had this old book. I was trying to think of something to do with the other 100 grams. I was going to knit a shawl. No, wasn't really enough. I was going to knit what do you call it? One of the scarves, a cowl. I was going to knit a cowl. And I had this book that has all these knitting stitches. Sorry, it's all backwards. And in this book, somewhere, no, that's not it. I came across that same pattern. King Charles brocade, it's actually called. But the designer of that hat changed it to Royal Diamonds, and she mentions that in the pattern. So I tried to knit a cowl with it, and I got my numbers all really, really wrong. It tells you how multiples of 12 plus 1. I completely buggered that up. I don't know what I did, and I was getting all sorts of weird things happening. So I pulled all of that back. Then I thought, no, I'll try a scarf. And then I was running out of wool. So, look, need to figure something out. And this is what I come up with. I need a little bag. I need a little bag using that same stitch pattern. I did an I-cord strap and some fringing. So I'm quite happy with that. So I wonder if anyone else will knit a bag in the group. So I'm quite excited. to take that in April and show everyone. I did the I-cord bind off at the top, and I'm quite pleased. Nice little boho bag. So that was my other finished objects that I completely forgot about. Now going on from there, I dye wool and I have it for sale at the market, and a lot of people have asked how does it knit up, and I just hadn't got time to knit anything. So I brought one of the skeins home and caked it up. And I was looking for something I could use just 100 gram of fingering weight yarn. I found one pattern, but I didn't have the right needle size, and then I came across this one. It's the Pine Lake Shawl. I'm pretty sure this was a free pattern. Sorry, it's not in colour. By Jaala Spiro, I'm presuming. It's just a quick asymmetrical shawl, knitted up in one weekend. Of course I haven't, but I'm planning to take it with me either to the market, or we may be going to a festival in Rosebery on the weekend to show our hand knitting and spinning skills. So I might take it with me there. I'm using Addy 3.5 circulars. I like Addy, they're very nice. If I remember, I'll pop up a picture of the skein of yarn, and this is one that I called Lavender Fields. So it's got all the beautiful lavender purples, the grey greens of the stems, and the yellow orange of the dirt in a lavender field. And it's inspired by the Bridestow Lavender Farm in Tasmania. I have a range of these, which you've probably seen me talk about on here before. But I thought it was high time to actually knit something up with it. It's a merino nylon blend, 4-ply fingering, as I mentioned. And this is it so far. I haven't got far, but that's how it's knitting up so far. It's quite pretty. I don't seem to be having any major pooling as yet, so that's good. But we'll see how it goes as it gets bigger. The pattern doesn't really tell you what type of what ply of yarn to use, and it says to use quite a large needle. So I assume it may be made for, I don't know, an Aran or something like that, but I'm just going to keep going as far as I can go with my fingering weight yarn and the 3.5. So there's the little tag for my yarn, Lavender Fields, 4-ply fingering, 100 grams, 400 metres. So I'll see how that goes. Now in between that I cast on, well, same day. I don't normally knit with fingering, so it was getting a little bit boring. I don't know, small, tedious. Tedious may be the word. So I cast on this beanie. This is a commercial yarn. It's showing up very grey. In this, it's quite bright purples. This is a commercial yarn. It's a carrot cake yarn. It's really, really soft and squishy. And I'm using a cabled pattern, but I'm just leaving out the cables and doing it in a rib. This yarn does have a few, I gather it's a self-striping, but it has a few little patches here and there. It's quite nice. Of course, I did end up making a few mistakes, which I only noticed last night. I must have knit 3 and purled 1 or something. It's a 2x2 rib. But never mind, I'll probably give this one to my daughter. I'm onto the shaping for the crown, so it's nearly finished. But yesterday I decided to cast something else on. Now, you've probably seen from earlier videos that I've been working slowly on the Battenberg blanket. And in that, I'm using some hand-dyed yarn, hand-dyed, naturally dyed yarn. So I have all of these different colours I'm using. Got a whole bunch more in that tub there, and I'm crocheting the little Battenberg squares. As I go, there are little leftovers, often very small. These are some of the bigger ones. So just tiny wee little 20-cent coin sized leftovers. Very little. And I was watching another podcast, a lovely yarn, I think, and she was showing some scrappy shawls and blankets and ideas for that. And she mentioned, the Scrappy knit shawl. I had a look on Ravelry, and it's another free pattern, so I downloaded it and printed it out. And what it is it's a use your leftovers, and instead of weaving in all your ends, because you're using really small leftovers, you just tie them up and then you add more fringe to fill it out. So here it is so far. I was using tiny wee little scraps of yarn to begin with, and as you go further, you need a little bit more so you can get right across the row. So in some instances I knit one row of a colour, in others two, and sometimes three. And so you get all these little danglies at the end. You cut them all off and you add more fringe, either with the leftover smaller pieces or with plain colour. So I think I'm in love. That's the other side. I think this is amazing, but I only have 6 wee little balls at the moment of scraps. So to complete this, I need to complete my Battenberg squares. So that's going to give me a reason to get onto my Battenberg blanket and knit up some more of those lovely colours. They're all, as I said, natural dyes, things like marigolds and walnuts and avocados and a bouquet of flowers that I bought at the market once, and I threw that in a solar dye jar, and all sorts of lovely things like that, cochineal and logwood and things. So I'm really excited by that, and I've done most of that this morning in between having a cup of tea. And I can't wait to get on to more of it. But I need to do more crochet. I have done plenty of squares, but I want at least 1 or 2 squares of each colour in the blanket. So I have an awful lot. I have those ones there, as I said, and then I've got a whole bunch more cakes of yarn out in the spare room. So that's about it. As I said, our spinning group may be heading down to the Rosebery Festival on the weekend. I'll find out more about that at spinning tomorrow. I attend a few groups in Tasmania. And so that might be interesting. I'm also looking at doing the cruise ship markets. Now, there are only a handful of markets left, and I'm just waiting on more information. It's where not everyone, a few crafters from Burnie and the surrounds meet at a place in Burnie and have their crafts there ready to sell to tourists getting off the cruises, and to the local public as well, of course. And the sort of requirement is to sit there and craft. People like to see what you're making with what you've been making. So So knitting your hand spun or knitting your hand dyed yarns, etc. So I'll try it out, see how it goes. Can't hurt. Otherwise, you can find me at the Penguin Undercover Market every Sunday in northwest Tasmania. Quite a big market. A lot of tourists pop in. It's all undercover except the garden. The garden centre is outdoors. And I'm often on Facebook and Instagram as Hawthorn Grove. I don't really have an online store. I've tried that, but it's just this online stuff. I'm not very good at it, as you may have noticed. But anyway, so if you'd like to see how any of my projects come along in the future, please like my channel and subscribe. Share it with your friends if you may. Add some comments. These things all help YouTube to get me shown a little bit more. I'm not out here to make millions of dollars, but I do like talking about what I'm doing, and many of my family and closer friends aren't crafters and they don't understand. You're a hoarder. You've got all this wool. Why haven't you finished knitting? Because I'm a crafter. I need more so I can make more. So anyway, if this is your thing and you'd like to see more, like I said, please subscribe to my channel. I'll try and be a little bit more, try and be on here a little bit more in the future, and we'll see how that goes. Anyway, I'll try and pop some more footage on the end of this video, and thanks for watching so far, and bye for now.